Okay, so on to the project a little bit here. One thing that I've kind of been trying to do a little bit lately is play some Game Boy Advance, right? And as many people are aware who had one of these back in the day, there's really only one problem with the system. There's no backlight to this thing, which means that if you're not playing in spotlights like the one I'm using for the video, kind of screwed, right? So what are the other options? Well, if you're going to go official, you've got two. You've got this. This is a Game Boy Advance SP, and this, of course, does indeed have a backlit screen. A fairly bright one, in fact. You know, which is good and all, but when you're kind of older, there's a lot less room on this than you remember as a kid. But Nintendo did try to remedy this a little bit in releasing this, the Game Boy Micro. Most people that I mentioned this to forgot this thing, either forgot this thing exists or didn't know. And this thing is tiny, but it does feel a little bit better in the hand. But again, it's tiny. You see that? See how close I have to get just so you can see the screen? It's nice, but not for long periods of time. So those are all decent options, but, well, what if we wanted to go another option? What if we wanted to go off market, right? Well, you got something like this. This, let me switch out here and put an actual cartridge in this for the moment, is a Revo K101 Plus. Now this is a kind of a mock-up clone of the Game Boy Advance, and it's pretty decent. It's got a decent screen. It's much bigger. It's the Game Boy Advance's form factor. Well, what's the problem with it? Well, if you notice down here in the corner, my model, which came the other way, and it has been on my list of things I need to talk about in the vlog, does not have a speaker. Which is just really, really odd. They somehow managed to slip this through manufacturing without putting a speaker in the case. Not sure exactly what that one is. So, I've about given up on this thing because I've been back and forth with support for them for like a week. So, I was like, well, what about the modding community, right? You see things everywhere for people who kind of modify these two things together. They take the screen out of this, right? This is with the nice screen, and they put it into here. And that works fine as well, but it's a little bit complicated for you for the moment. I might try to do one of those eventually, but also if you buy one of them pre-modded, they're very, very, very expensive for the pre-modded price. So I thought I might go with something a little bit more resourceful. So I have this stack of broken DSes. You may be like, DSes? What? Well, yeah, these are all broken. They, in some way, shape, or form, do not have working top screens. If I turn this on here, you'll notice that the top screen doesn't display anything. Which makes this a perfect candidate for what the modding community has taken to calling Game Boy macros. As in really big Game Boy micros. Because obviously DSs have the ability to play Game Boy Advance games, the same way the Game Boy Micro does. But basically what that entails is people take off the top screens and basically kind of turn their original DSs that are broken. And all of these have broken top screens to some extent. These two Cobalt ones have cracked top screens, which are different from the rest of these, which have hinge damage. Yeah, see, all of these have hinge damage in there. And this one has even more, to be honest. This one is like destroyed in the back of the case as well. But so yeah, I might try my hand at a little bit more modding, because I've done some of this in the past. But also, for whatever reason, people decide that they like to do these with DS Lites, and I kind of can't figure that one out, because there's one thing that I always hate about playing Game Boy Advance games on a DS Lite, and I've hated it from the original, and that's, well, this. Do you really want to make this the main thing you play games on? When it, like console games, or handheld games, where it sticks out? And not particularly. Plus, the worst DS Lite I have is actually in much better shape than the worst of these, which is probably this one. The worst DS Lite is at worst irritating because it's got a little bit of water damage on the screen, whereas those are all still decently beat up. Now, one thing is that I also would like to do is because theoretically, because these don't have the case damage, these two Cobalt ones here, and all of these screens are theoretically intact on all of these, is that it kind of makes a little bit of sense to actually take the screens from these and put them in here. Actually, wait. This one's not broken. This one's not the broken one. Oops. So let's go fix that now before I start taking apart the one of the Cobalt ones that actually worked. Yeah, there's broken. Good catch, me. This one is actually cracked. They're both cracked. How many people call it for me? Who knows? But yeah. So I might try to do that. I might try to take my crack at a little bit of DS screen replacement and converting things to macros, because I can easily change these screens out when I take these screens off and convert these things to macros, which should be kind of fun. And there's a bunch of online guides to this, but I thought I'd give it a try for myself as well. Should be kind of fun. I'm gonna start disassembling these things. Okay, so a little bit later on now. First off, there's a couple things you might notice. First off, this is the DS board. This is obviously the main motherboard for the entire system. There's all the buttons and the D-pad and whatnot, and games and code cartridge back here. Fun times. Here's the bottom piece. It came off actually reasonably easily. Let's just take off all the screws from the bottom. And I just got the top off, not very easily at all, because I pulled it off and it basically exploded into like 4 different pieces. It's a good thing I wasn't planning on saving the top. But it makes the future one mean that it needs to be a little bit more, very, very gentle apparently. But yeah, so this is kind of the top. The screen is actually over here, slightly off camera. This is the bottom screen without the touch adapter on, which I peeled off because I actually don't want it anymore, but it is right here. So that might happen. But yeah, so on to a little bit more disassembly here. But that's the process so far. What you see below here is one of the first stages of success. You see that? This is one of the broken Cobalt Blue DSes, and I took the screen, which is actually I think the bottom screen out of that silver 3D or silver DS I was just working on, and yeah, it actually works really, really well inside the main one. Yeah, I still have to put the screws back in, but and the bottom cover and all that. But right now, this is working, and I needed to do this at the same time as I did that one because I needed the what do you call it? The LEDs from the other set because of the thing that I'll explain in a little bit. But yeah, just know for the moment, first successful modification. We're doing good. Well, after several more hours of working, and you can see all of the DS scraps behind you instead of DSs now, because there's at least 3 DS motherboards in this shot. So I bumped my hand on the camera. Yeah. It's been several more hours. This is actually the other one of the Cobalt ones, as you can see. That one's actually working now. So that means I've actually fixed 2 of them up. So we've gone from having 4 completely working to having 6 completely working. I'm still working a little bit on the macro project. Everything else has come apart kind of decently well for the moment. I haven't had any like explosions like I had at the top of this case. I've had a few other parts kind of snap, particularly with this one. But whatever for the moment. Yeah, so these are kind of all lids. Here's batteries, here's screens. This screen is actually broken as well. It doesn't look like it, but I actually did put it in the that one Cobalt one that I just showed you at one point. It actually didn't work. Well, it did work. It was just very, very washed out. This is a digitizer I took off of one of the screens, a touchscreen digitizer. I might have shown that off already. I don't really know. Oh, here's another touchscreen. But yeah, I think that's going to be it for the moment. I'm still going to keep working on the macro part, but that's it for the repairs. So yeah, to the other half of the project. This slightly more complicated one. Well, it's obviously a new day of the project because I took a little break to, get some sleep like I normally would. But one thing I noticed about, well, actually, not noticed. There's a little bit of an update here on. Let me turn this on so we have a little bit of light from the front. About the 101 Plus, the Revo. As I mentioned yesterday, I've been back and forth on this email train with support, trying to figure out what is happening. And, well, I mean, I know the answer is just that there's no speaker. And, yeah, they kind of were just like, this is really weird. I mean, those are the guy's exact words. And he was like, we'll just give you a refund. That sound good? And I was like, yeah, that sounds fine. But also, you're sitting here this morning, thinking here with the unit like this. And this might fit decently well in that little socket, one of the speakers that we have here for the DS, and I'm blocking it with my fingers so you can't see it, but it takes a little bit to keep it on. I might check put those on and just see what happens. Because all of the mods only call for one, the Game Boy Advance only has one anyway. I'd actually just try to go do that. So that would be the one thing I do for modding for a little while this morning. We'll just see what happens. See what we can do with it. I think it works, right? No, we'll figure it out. Well, there is now a speaker in here, but as you can see, doing the volume does nothing. So I need to actually go back in there eventually and make contact, I think. Need some very small leads or something. I was kind of hoping it would just work naturally, but I decided I needed to give up because I have other things that need to get done for the moment. So, there's at least a speaker there now. Does it work? No. And if I haven't covered it, the headphone port does work, so there is, like, some sort of amp in there, but it's apparently not it's not working with the speaker at the moment, which is probably just because it's not making contact, and I need to make it go make contact. Fun. Getting back to my project at hand here, because I took a little bit of a break to do work. I started with a little bit on the Dremel, because as you can see here, this is now Dremeled down. This was the really broken one, so that's why there's no Gorilla Glue there. We're going to try to get this piece at least mostly back to where it's supposed to be, but of course that's going to need time to settle. So I plan on not touching that one for a little while now, and well, this one needs to get Dremeled, and I need to take the parts out of the other half as well. So back to grinding some of this down a little bit, I think. So here is kind of the rough Dremel work on these two cases here, just kind of get down that that top part there so it's a little bit more comfortable to hold in the meantime. I'll probably work on cleaning them up a little bit later, but my next priority was going to be to go into soldering, and there's one thing I wanted to try where I wanted to try to remove this the game card case, because we really won't need it for the most part. But I got a little bit sidetracked because I was like, I want to try to do the easier thing first, because I was like, I'll work with this. I'll try this, because this just needs to fix some contact points. And I was like, I don't actually think I need to even solder this. I can just kind of extend the contact points. And I did. And, well, here's the result. As you can probably tell, turn on. There we go. Yeah, the sound is fixed for the moment. It's actually pretty loud. So I'm going to turn that mostly down. But, yeah, it certainly does work. So that's at least one thing fixed for the moment. I'm probably going to take a little break for a while. Well, another little while of tinkering later, and we have a little bit of a finished proof of concept here. Yeah, it's actually done. Well, not completely, but we can at least, you know, prove that it will theoretically work. Because, I mean, it's obviously right now not finished at all. Obviously there's junk sitting in the DS slot, which a lot of people do remove, like, because there's a lot of places you can go in the future from this. This is just kind of your basic, get this thing running, and that's what I was aiming for right now. This is obviously not a guide, it's like a one-off video from a daily vlog, so if you have problems following, you should look elsewhere. But, right now, this is just kind of looking good. Places people go in the future a little bit, they generally remove, or sometimes people remove these two buttons here, because there's really not a need for them per se. And that you can use some extra space if you remove the DS card slot and the stylus and you kind of fill those in. You can use that to actually store the board inside. I mean, there's plenty of space for the board inside underneath. And people also generally install a speaker. There's not a speaker right now, but one of the modified speaker boards is indeed down here. Like right here. So I can actually switch out to that when I figure out where I am going to put the speaker. Which is one reason why I didn't completely get this thing all completely wrapped up quite yet. But it is here, and I can indeed use it to play games if I want to. I'm also considering maybe putting a speaker back here underneath of the original label. Just just because another thing would probably be to replace the touchscreen with something that just kind of covers the screen and protects it, because obviously this one, as you can see from that glare on the angle, is very, very destroyed from all the years of use. Not that you can tell head on, but you do get a much better picture if you kind of look at it or without the touchscreen on, because the early touchscreens in particular on these Nintendo DSes were not that good. It's a little bit viewing restrictive too, angle-wise, as you can even tell by the camera, which exaggerates it a little bit from real life. But yeah, take my word for it, it is a little bit off. You can see, yeah, when you look at it perfectly on, you can actually really see it on the camera, the little network of wires and whatever in there. So that's a little bit for the future. For the moment, also this fell out at some point, so this is missing the little clear things that kind of hide a little bit. But whatever, that's it for the moment. This is this is the little proof of concept we have created. And there's obviously other parts around, so I will continue working on these a little bit more in the future, because there's other ideas I will have for them. But it's just kind of nice to have one that works completely for the moment.